She said, I'm going silent for a week. I need to see if you'll put in the effort. So, I gave her exactly what she asked for. Distance. She broke after 2 days, asking why I wasn't blowing up her phone. I said, because we're done. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I thought what we had was real. Stable. Maybe that was my first mistake. For 3 years, I'd built my life around Chloe. And I'd thought she was building hers around me. I was the reliable one. The one who remembered her allergy medication. Who learned how to make her grandmother's pasta recipe just to see her smile. Who never once forgot the anniversary of our first date. It was a Tuesday evening, and I was chopping vegetables for a stir-fry. Our usual midweek rotation. The apartment smelled of ginger and garlic. A familiar, comforting scent. Chloe was perched on a stool at the kitchen island, scrolling through her phone. Her brow furrowed. The silence between us wasn't the comfortable kind. It was thick, charged with something I couldn't name. She'd been like this for days. A storm cloud in human form, giving one-word answers and sighing like the weight of the world was on her shoulders. Everything okay? I asked, wiping my hands on a towel. You've been quiet since you got home. She didn't look up. I'm fine. Classic Chloe. I'd learned that fine was a war zone. I decided to press gently. Come on, Chloe. Talk to me. Is it work? Did something happen with your mom? She finally put her phone down. See Hill first. And fixed me with a look that was part exhaustion, part accusation. It's just us. Mark. I've been thinking about us. A cold trickle of dread started in my chest. What about us? I kept my voice even, leaning against the counter. Do you ever feel like, I don't know, like we're just going through the motions? She gestured vaguely around our home, the one we'd painted together, filled with books we'd both read and photos from trips we'd taken. Like, this is all there is. I blinked, completely thrown. What? No. This is our life. I love our life. And I meant it. The quiet nights, the shared jokes, the way her feet sought out mine under the covers in the middle of the night. It wasn't a raging inferno of passion every second, but it was a steady, warm fire. I thought that's what we both wanted. See, that's what I mean. She let out a short, bitter laugh. You're just content. You don't fight for it. You don't fight for me. My mind raced, scrambling for evidence to the contrary. I'd fought for her when her father was sick, handling all the logistics so she could just be with him. I'd fought for this apartment, dealing with the nightmare landlord. I fought for her happiness every single day in 1,000 small ways. Chloe, that's not fair. Where is this coming from? Is this about me working late last week? Because I told you that project is... It's not about one thing. She interrupted, her voice rising. It's about everything. It's about the energy you put in. I feel like I'm the only one ensuring our emotional connection stays alive. I'm always the one initiating the deep talks, planning the exciting dates, thinking about our future. I stared at her, my stir-fry forgotten. The future. We'd been looking at rings 2 months ago. I had a savings account with a name on it that wasn't mine. She stood up, a strange, determined look on her face. It was then I realized this wasn't a spontaneous conversation. This was a speech she'd rehearsed. I need to know if you're truly committed, not just to this comfortable routine we've built, but to me, to the woman I am, and the woman I want to become. Of course I am. I said, my confusion turning into a low thrum of anxiety. You know, I am... Do I? She asked, her voice dropping to a manipulative, almost smug whisper. I need a real sign. Mark? So, here's what's gonna happen. I'm going silent for a week. No calls. No texts. I'm going to stay at Jess's. I need to step back and see if you'll actually fight for me. If you'll put in the effort to win me back, I need to see you prove it. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. A test. She was giving me a test like I was a lab rat and she was a scientist observing my pain. Where is this coming from? Chloe, I repeated, my voice harder now. This isn't a game. We live together. We're partners. What does win you back even mean? You're right here. She picked up her purse from the counter. Having clearly pre-packed it, she walked towards the door. That infuriating, knowing smile playing on her lips. It means what it means. If you care, you'll prove it. Don't contact me. I'll see you in a week. The door clicked shut behind her. The sound absurdly soft and final. The smell of ginger and garlic suddenly seemed sickly sweet. I was left standing in our kitchen. The sizzle of the abandoned pan, the only sound in the crushing silence. I looked around at the life we'd built, the life I was now apparently on probation from, and for the first time, the warm, steady fire I cherished felt dangerously close to going out. The first hour was the worst. The silence in the apartment wasn't just an absence of sound. It was a physical presence. Heavy and accusing. I stood there in the kitchen for a long time, staring at the closed door, half expecting it to fly open again with her saying, "Just kidding." Can you believe people actually do that? It didn't. I turned off the stove, dumped the burnt vegetables and rubbery chicken into the trash, and scrubbed the pan with a fury that made my knuckles white. The mechanical action was a relief. It was something to do. Something real in a world that had just tilted off its axis. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in our bed on my side, staring at the faint glow of the city through the blinds on her empty side. My mind was a racetrack of conflicting thoughts. Is this my fault? Should I have been more? What? I replayed every conversation from the last few months, searching for clues I'd missed. Had I been taking her for granted? Was I really just content? But contentment had always felt like a victory, not a failure. We built a life that was safe and happy. Was that now a crime? By morning, the confusion had begun to curdle into something else. Low, simmering anger. She hadn't come to me with a problem to solve together. She had issued a verdict and assigned me a role. The desperate supplicant. My job was to perform a week of panic devotion to prove my worth. My phone was a brick on my nightstand. I checked it constantly. Not with hope, but with a morbid curiosity. Nothing. No. I'm safe. No. This is harder than I thought. Just silence. The exact silence she demanded. I went to work on autopilot. My colleagues' voices sounded muffled, like I was underwater. I tried to focus on a spreadsheet, and my brain would whisper, "Win you back." What did that even look like? Sending a florist's entire inventory to her friend's apartment, serenading her beneath a window with a boombox. It was absurd. This wasn't a romance movie. It was a power play. I got home that evening, and the apartment felt different. It was still silent, but the accusation was fading, replaced by a strange emptiness. I ordered a pizza, something I never did because Chloe was a health nut. I ate it on the couch, watching a dumb action movie she would have hated. And for the first time, I felt a flicker of something other than anger or hurt. It was a sliver of peace. The next morning, Wednesday, something clicked. I woke up before my alarm, and the fog had lifted. The racetrack in my mind was empty and quiet. I looked at her pillow, and instead of a pang of loss, I felt a cold, clear resolve. This wasn't about love. Love doesn't administer tests with pass-fail conditions that destroy the participant. This was about control. It was about her need to see me grovel, to see me in pain, to have tangible proof that she held the reins to my entire emotional state. And I realized, with a stunning and simple clarity, that I was done handing her those reins. I didn't block her. That felt too reactive, too emotional. Instead, I went into my phone settings and muted her notifications. Her texts would come in, but my phone wouldn't light up, wouldn't buzz, wouldn't shatter my peace. She wanted silence. She'd get it, but she wouldn't get the performance she craved. I went to the gym after work, a place I'd been neglecting. I put my headphones in, cranked up the music, and pushed until my muscles burned and my mind was blissfully empty. It felt good. It felt like reclaiming something. Afterward, I felt clean, tired, in a good way. I took a picture of the sunset from the gym's window, a brilliant splash of orange and purple, and posted it to my Instagram story with no caption. It was a normal, pleasant moment from my life. I was in the locker room wiping down my face when my phone vibrated with an incoming call. Not a notification. A call. I pulled it out of my pocket. Chloe. The muted setting didn't stop the ringtone. I watched her name flash on the screen. My heart didn't leap. My stomach didn't clench. It just was. I let it ring. It went to voicemail. A second later, it started ringing again. Insistent. Panicked. This time, I swiped to answer. I didn't say hello. I just waited. Her voice was a rushed, frantic torrent in my ear. Hello? What are you doing? I remained silent, walking towards a quieter corner. Mark? Are you there? Why is your Instagram so normal? She demanded, her tone shifting from panic to indignation. You posted a picture of a sunset. I'm over here having a crisis about our relationship. I can't eat. I can't sleep. And you're at the gym. You're posting about a sunset. I could hear the sheer, unadulterated confusion in her voice. The script was ruined. I wasn't following my lines. Why aren't you blowing up my phone? The question was almost a wail. Why aren't you begging? Don't you miss me? Don't you care that you're losing me? And there it was. The naked truth. It wasn't about space. It was about a hunger for drama. For proof of her own desirability. My quiet dignity was a rejection she couldn't comprehend. I took a slow, calm breath. The clarity was absolute. You asked for silence and distance. Chloe, I said, my voice even devoid of all emotion. It was simply a statement of fact. She started to splutter, but I didn't mean. I cut her off. My tone firm, final, and clean as a surgeon's knife. Because we're done. I pulled the phone from my ear and ended the call. The screen went black. Without a moment of hesitation, I navigated to her contact, tapped block this caller, and confirmed the action. Then I put my phone back in my pocket, grabbed my gym bag, and walked out into the cool evening air. The silence, for the first time, was my own, and it was peaceful. The silence after I blocked her was different. It wasn't the heavy, waiting silence she had imposed. It was a clean, empty space, and I filled it with the sound of my own life. The first thing I did was practical. I went home, grabbed a stack of empty boxes from the garage, and methodically packed every trace of her from our shared space. Her expensive skincare products from the bathroom cabinet, the shelf of novels in the living room, the drawer of Lacey, impractical underwear she loved. I didn't rage pack. I did it with a detached, almost clinical efficiency. Each item placed in a box was a weight lifted. When I was done, I stacked the boxes neatly by the front door, a monument to a closed chapter. I texted my buddy Alex. Hey. You need a favor? Chloe is picking up her stuff tomorrow at 7:00 p.m. Can you be here to let her in? I won't be. Alex, well, what happened? You guys break up. Yeah? It's done. Can you be here? Alex, yeah. Man. Of course. You okay? Me, I'm good. Thanks. And the feeling was surreal. I'd expected a gaping wound, but instead, I felt a profound sense of relief. Like I'd finally put down a heavy burden I didn't even know I was carrying. Her test hadn't broken me. It had broken the illusion I'd held of our relationship. I saw the dynamic for what it was now, and I wanted no part of it. I threw myself into the parts of my life I'd let slide. I dedicated more time to work, and 2 weeks later, my boss called me into his office. Mark, the clarity and focus you've shown on the Henderson account. It's been noticed. The promotion is yours. It was a senior analyst position, something I'd been working toward for 2 years. The raise was significant. I felt a flush of pride that was entirely my own. It had nothing to do with her. I reconnected with friends I'd drifted from, the ones Chloe had subtly deemed not couple friends. I started going to the rock climbing gym again, a hobby she'd always rolled her eyes at, calling it juvenile. I bought a new set of paints, and spent a Saturday afternoon messily recreating a landscape on a canvas. Something I hadn't done since college. My life was becoming louder, more colourful, and entirely my own. Meanwhile, Chloe's world was getting smaller and more chaotic. The karma wasn't a dramatic, movie-style crash. It was a slow psychological unraveling, and I heard about it in pieces from the grapevine. My friend Sarah, who had a soft spot for drama, called me a month in. "You will not believe what Chloe is telling people," she said, her voice a mix of outrage and fascination. "Oh." "Yeah," I asked, stirring a pot of pasta on my stove. I was perfectly calm. "She's telling everyone you had a nervous breakdown and abandoned her during a crucial relationship test she designed to save you both. She's playing the martyr." "Mark, it's insane." I chuckled. A dry, genuine sound. "Let her talk." "Sarah, people who matter know the truth." And they did. The initial wave of sympathy for her began to recede as more details leaked out. When people heard the actual story, she gave him the silent treatment for a week to see if he'd beg. And he just ended it. The reaction was universally a raised eyebrow and a, "Yeah, that tracks." Her narrative was too twisted, too obviously self-serving. Then the attempts to reach me began. It started with a text from an unknown number 2 days after the promotion. "Unknown number. I heard about your promotion. Congratulations. I always knew you had it in you. We should talk." I stared at it for a moment, then blocked the number. There was no anger, just a mild annoyance, like swatting a fly. The next week, a voicemail from a different number. Her voice was thick with fake tears. "Mark, it's Moo. Please. I'm not doing well. I miss you so much. It was a stupid mistake. I was scared. Can we just please talk? I'm sorry." She was sobbing by the end. It sounded performative. I deleted it and blocked that number. 2. The attempts became more unhinged. She followed my public Instagram story from a Finsta account. A picture of me and the guys at a baseball game. An hour later, a mutual acquaintance sent me a screenshot of her story. A posed, moody photo of her at a dimly lit bar. A glass of wine in hand, with a caption that read, "Moving on and leveling up. Some people can't handle a queen." I actually laughed out loud. It was so transparent. She was trying to make me jealous, to provoke any reaction. She was throwing pebbles at a fortress, and the walls didn't even shudder. The most significant attempt came through Mark, a mutual friend who had always been a little in awe of Chloe. He asked to meet for a beer, and I agreed, knowing what was coming. We sat at a corner table in a low-key bar. He fidgeted with his coaster, unable to meet my eyes. "Look, man," he started, his voice strained. "I probably shouldn't be doing this, but Chloe's not good. She's a mess. She cries all the time. She misses you. She knows she messed up. It was just a stupid test. Don't you think you're being a little harsh? It's been over 2 months." I took a slow sip of my IPA, completely unbothered. This was the flying monkey phase, and I was ready for it. "I'm not responsible for her feelings anymore." "Mark," I said, my voice calm and even, but she designed a test I couldn't pass without losing my self-respect. I continued, cutting him off gently but firmly. "I chose self-respect. It's really that simple." He opened his mouth to argue, but I gave him a small, final smile. "The topic is closed. How's your job going? Still enjoying the new project?" He blinked, thrown by the abrupt subject change. He stammered for a moment about work, and the tension dissolved. I had drawn a boundary, not with anger, but with an immovable calm. He wouldn't be trying that again. I left the bar that night feeling lighter than ever. Her desperation was no longer my problem. Her tears were not my responsibility. The game was over, and I had walked off the field without ever looking back at the scoreboard. I was free. 6 months. It felt like a lifetime and no time at all. The person I was in that kitchen, staring at a closed door, was a stranger to me. Now, my life had a new rhythm. one built entirely on my own terms. The promotion had come with a significant raise, which I'd used to move into a modern, light-filled apartment with a view of the city skyline. It was mine. Every book on the shelf, every piece of art on the wall, was a choice I'd made for myself. The peace was palpable. I was sitting in The Grind, a coffee shop near my new place that had become my weekend office. Sunlight streamed through the large windows. I was deep in a code review, a half-finished latte at my elbow, the world comfortably tuned out. I was, for lack of a better word, happy. A shadow fell over my table. I glanced up, expecting a waitress. It was Chloe. She was trying hard to look put together. A sleek black coat, heels, but it was a fragile facade. Her hair lacked its usual luster, and there were faint, tired lines around her eyes that makeup couldn't quite conceal. She looked like she was playing dress-up as her former self. "Mark," she said, her voice a hesitant whisper. "Can we talk? Please." I didn't startle. I didn't feel a surge of anger or a pang of nostalgia. I felt nothing. It was like a faint, familiar noise from another room. I slowly closed the lid of my laptop. She took it as an invitation, sliding into the chair opposite me without waiting for a reply. Her eyes were wide, pleading. "I get it now," she began, the words tumbling out in a rehearsed rush. "It was a mistake. A stupid, childish game. You've proved your point. You've punished me enough. You can stop now." I remained silent, just looking at her. My calm seemed to agitate her. "I've been miserable without you," she continued, her voice cracking with a sob she seemed to be conjuring on demand. "Don't you care? We had 3 years together. Doesn't that mean anything to you?" She was waiting for me to comfort her, to absolve her, to give her the emotional reaction she'd been starving for. When I didn't, her mask began to slip. The pleading in her eyes hardened into frustration, then into sharp anger. "So what? You're just going to sit there?" she snapped, her voice losing its performative tremor. "You're just going to throw everything we had away because of one little thing, one test." That was my cue. I leaned back in my chair, my posture relaxed, my hands resting calmly on the table. I looked at her, not as an ex-lover, but as a curious specimen of a person I once knew. "You told me you needed to see if I would fight for you." I said, my voice even and clear. "You were right. I did have to fight for something." She leaned forward, a flicker of hope in her eyes. This was what she wanted to hear. A confession of struggle. I held her gaze. I had to fight for my peace, and I won. The hope in her eyes died, replaced by blank confusion. "You asked for a week of silence to see if I cared." I continued, the ghost of a smile on my lips. "It took me 2 days to see that I didn't. Not like that. Not in the way your games required." She opened her mouth to protest, but I kept going. My tone was conversational, as if discussing the weather. "That person you were testing, the one who would jump through your hoops and beg for your approval, he's gone. You made sure of that. And honestly, I owe you a thank you." Her face was a mask of stunned disbelief. "A thank you." The silence was exactly what I needed to hear myself think again. I said, and it was the absolute truth. It was the best gift you ever gave me. I stood up, picking up my laptop and slipping it into my bag. I pulled a 20 from my wallet and placed it on the table to cover my coffee and then some. The meeting was over. "I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for." Chloe," I said, my tone final, devoid of any malice or lingering feeling. It was a simple, "Polly to dismissal," but you need to understand, you will not find it with me. We are a closed chapter. Please don't try to read it again. I turned and walked towards the door. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I could feel the weight of her stunned, furious silence behind me. But it was a weight that could no longer touch me. As I stepped out into the bright, crisp day, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. It was a text from Sarah, the friend who told me about Chloe's gossip. "Sarah hiking crew is on for Sunday, 9:00 a.m. at the trailhead. Don't forget the good coffee. A genuine, easy smile spread across my face. I typed back a quick reply. Me. Wouldn't miss it. I'll bring the coffee and the pastries. I slid the phone back into my pocket, looked up at the clear blue sky, and took a deep, clean breath. The coffee shop, the confrontation, the ghost of my past, it was already fading. Irrelevant noise. My life, my real life, was waiting, and it was full. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.